us on this beautiful Wednesday morning. And we have in studio with us a guest, and his name is Tatenda Nyachega, and he is a chief economist, and he's going to be talking to us about CEO Roundtable that always happens. He said it's the 11th year that it's been running, and it's over in Victoria Falls. Good morning to you, Tatenda.
Good morning, and good morning to Zimbabwe.
How are you this morning?
I'm well, and yourself?
Very well, thank you. It's a beautiful Women Crush Wednesday, Wow Wednesday. I don't know what W would you put on your Wednesday?
Women Crush Wednesday.
Women Crush Wednesday.
Yes,
that's
Women Crush Wednesday.
We have to theme our days, and every day is something different, so that you can have something to laugh about and speak about with your friends. Something that's not as serious. Economics, everything is always many things.
Yeah.
To diamond up the day. But Tatenda, you are with us, and when I'm talking about CEO Roundtable, I'm not really sure what that is all about. Could you care to explain to us what that entails?
So, thank you. CEO Africa Roundtable, it's a platform for CEOs. It's a platform for senior executives, and we are talking of these CEOs and senior executives coming from both the public and private sectors. And the main thrust or objective of the roundtable is to champion a sustainable and inclusive economic development across the African continent. So this is a platform for CEOs. We convince CEOs, we convince senior executives, but for the sole purpose of championing or enhancing sustainable and inclusive economic development across the African continent.
Oh, that is good. And is there a theme for this year's roundtable?
Definitely, there's a theme for the 11th edition of the South Africa Annual Roundtable, and our theme is Future Red Africa. Yes, Future Red Africa, connecting ideas, creating value. And the whole issues around this theme is, I think you could look at the global space. And if you look at the global space, you discover that we are actually evolving, and there are new things happening. And as a continent, we then also need to be ready. We need to be prepared in terms of what's our next step, so that at least we remain relevant in the evolving, the dynamic global world.
Right. So when you talk about CEOs, this is CEOs of every company coming together. Is there like a togetherness amongst the CEOs of different companies, or somebody's just running a division of their own?
So, as in the name Roundtable, it doesn't have corners. It's a round table, implying that they're all equal once they come to be part and parcel of the platform. So, being equal, then it means this is a shared vision. We believe that if they run on their own, yes, they can attain some certain goals. But if we want to go far, then we believe that these CEOs and senior executives, they should come together. Then they should have a shared or a common vision in terms of championing inclusive and sustainable economic development, not only here in Zim, but across the African continent. So I think the whole issue about being part and parcel of the CEO Africa Roundtable is that we want to be part and parcel of a family, but we have got a shared vision. And this shared vision is to do with how then do we champion, how then do we create the stimulus for sustainable and inclusive economic development across the African continent.
That's very good. So, besides CEOs, who else can attend this round table? Or it's just mainly CEOs, and why is it important?
So we call it the CEOs Roundtable because these are, when you look at institutions, be it public or private, these are the strategic people.
Okay.
And we specifically target these strategic people because we know that they've got key decisions to make in terms of how businesses are run and how decisions are made in terms of investment and trade of these corporates. But besides them, I think when you talk of the annual roundtable, when you talk of the roundtable in general, we bridge the gap that exists between the policymakers and the private sector or the business. So definitely you expect to see some policymakers, that is government officials or government representatives, being part and parcel of the roundtable. We are also expecting to receive some local, regional, as well as international investors who are looking for bankable projects, not only in Zim but across the African continent. Then they are also supposed to be part and parcel of that. Of course, the media, but they are the voice, or in terms of our discussions, they make sure that whatever opportunities that are created, they reach out to the rest of the general citizens. And of course, the CEOs, they are the main centerpiece in terms of our meetings. So I think we've got quite a variety of people attending for different purposes of made for different objectives, but all centered around the roundtable.
Right. So obviously you did speak about the issue of it being the 11th one that's running. And in all these years that it has been running, have you seen a growth, or is it a plateau, or is it a decline? How could you describe if this is really working, or if people are just gathering in Victoria Falls to have a blast of a time?
So the whole essence around the roundtable, or the CEO Africa roundtable, the concept behind it is we envision ourselves as a long-term or a long-term investor hosting center, where those who have got valuable projects, they bring them to the roundtable, or they lodge them with the roundtable. Then also potential investors looking to invest across the continent, they should also come to the roundtable seeking for valuable projects, so that at least they can also attain their specific objectives. So looking at this being the 11th, we are actually happy, because we are anticipating some investors or maybe some participants coming as far as Brazil, some coming across the region, and that alone speaks volumes. Because I think when you look at the 10th edition, I think we only had some representatives coming from Zambia, Malawi, Botswana, where we've got our chapters there. But this year it's a different, we could take it as a growth, but our intention is to bring, in the future, we want to convene 1,000 CEOs. Right. We want to convene 2,000 CEOs under one roof. And when we talk of those 1,000 CEOs, it's not about them having fun, but the end goal is to say we should measure the deals that have been structured. What's worth? Is it a 10 billion? Are these 10 billion deals, maybe the 10 billion worth deals that have been done, or what? So I think we'll be measuring all that going into the future to say, yes, the 10th edition, we managed to strike 1.2 billion. Then I think the 11th edition, we should also be able to reflect and say how much value is it created because of the continuing of the sales. So the whole essence of them coming together, or maybe being there for 3 days, it's not for them to have fun, but it's for them to connect. And we believe that when they connect, that's where they can create that's where they can then structure the deals, and that's where then we can talk of the value, or maybe the economic development that we're talking about attaining across the African continent.
That's very good. We speak of the issue of accountability, and you're speaking of figures like 10 billion deals that can be struck, and obviously it starts there at the top. And obviously there's a ripple effect, coming down to the chain, and who's going to benefit, is the job creation and all sorts of stuff. In terms of accountability, how accountable are these companies? You say you speak of 1,000 CEOs being in the same space. How accountable is the system or the format that you've created to ensure that everybody benefits from, especially these investors from the likes of Brazil that you're saying are coming into the country?
So the whole essence around accountability of these CEOs, I think when a CEO comes, he is the face of a specific organization or a specific corporate or institution. And for every deal, I think we have got what's called the deal rules. And this should be then, whatever deal that is struck, either be it with company A or company B, it should be known. Because the whole essence of accountability, then it comes to having things being put on the plate to say, or in black and white, to say we've managed to strike a 1 million deal, and this thing should be taken back, not by the CEO, but this should be, because he's there on account on behalf of the organization. Yeah. So what it simply means, we are trying to also maybe come up with a structure where we can then try to also record, or maybe have a record in terms of these are the deals which have been struck during the specific event or specific annual roundtable. And once we have those, then it should also speak in terms of how then these institutions are then going to report in terms of what they attained during the specific annual roundtable, or maybe during a specific event. So definitely our anticipation or our expectation is that these are noble CEOs. They are coming with a faithful representation of their specific institution. And we have had quite a number in terms of the deal structure that some of them have actually been signed in public. I think last year around March we had some American investors which came and actually signed some deals with our local companies. And that bring into effect the element of accountability and maybe transparency. These are deals which are signed in public and in terms of the media being present and a lot of people knowing that, okay, this is a deal worth this much which has been signed. So I think that all those processes, having the bigger or having maybe a system which tracks in terms of the deal that is structured, then will also foster these CEOs to be accountable in terms of how they report back when they go back to their respective institutions.
Great. In the years that obviously you've been running, have you seen maybe a growth? So CEOs, we can say, are the older guys. Obviously, you're the more mature ones. Are there any young CEOs? Because obviously that is the future for Zimbabwe. Have you been seeing a growth in the young form of CEOs running companies in Zim?
So definitely yes. I think at the roundtable we have taken a deliberate step to say we are not only going to focus on established CEOs, but in terms of our membership, you discover that we've got more of a three-tier membership. We've got the corporate members, then we've got individual members, which are established or non-made CEOs. But we've then deliberately also created what we call the young CEOs category, where we were trying to bring in the young CEOs, someone below the age 40 years and below, or maybe someone who is emerging institution, maybe which has been running for 2 years, but with a specific step in terms of annual turnover. But I would say we started this, or maybe we created this category about 2 years ago. And in terms of the membership, it has actually been increasing or maybe growing. I think when we started the first year, we were slightly below 50 in terms of the young CEOs, but to date, I believe that we are about 150 young CEOs which are who are on board. And then it also makes sense to say when you've got this annual roundtable or specific annual roundtable, then it becomes an opportunity for them, because most of them they are doing so that they can also grow with the institution, as well as learn from those who have made it in the game of business. So definitely we've got quite a number of young CEOs amongst our participants who are also then, and we've actually noted that there's an increase in trend in terms of them participating in the annual roundtable. Why? Because we believe they are also getting value out of there, and that's the way that we have made things in the business of or in the game of business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Tatenda, how do you sign up for being a part of the CEO Roundtable? Where do we find you? What's that information?
So we've got an existing website or a functional website. That's www.ceoart.org. Then we've got on our website. Then we've got contact details in terms of email info@ceoart.org, as well as even landline to reach out to us. I think we are quite we've got all the information on our
website
where people can then reach out to us and that we then tell them the process in terms of the forms that they're supposed to fill in, because it's not about someone just saying I'm a CEO.
Yeah.
I want to be there.
you have to qualify. You've got some standards you have.
We've got our own criteria where if one then needs to be amongst the roundtable, then they have to fill in a specific form which will then evaluate. Then we come back to you and say no, you qualify based on our own assessment.
Then it's all okay. That's fantastic. And social media in terms of Instagram, TikTok, are you on any of them?
Yes, we are. I think we're across
the board. And what's your handle on that?
Okay, in terms of the handles, I think that's South Africa Roundtable.
CEO Africa.
CEO Africa Roundtable.
Okay.
That's with Facebook, that's with LinkedIn, that's with X, and I think that's how I intend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Tatenda. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and looking forward to this. When is it being held?
This is going to happen 15 to 18 October in Victoria Falls as an Elephant Hills Resort.
Okay.
And we are running out of space. And I think if you don't have a ticket by now, because I think we have already finalized in terms of the logistics, the charter plane that we're going to use, accommodation. So if then you decide to say you want to come on your own, or maybe you want to make your own arrangement, it might be difficult for you to then get especially in terms of accommodation. But I think Elephant Hills is already fully booked. Yeah.
Did you hear that, guys? It's already fully booked, so this is the place to be. On, you said which day?
That's 15 to 18 October.
15th to the 18th of October in Victoria Falls. Make sure that you are there. All the information is on their website, so just get looking on that. That's www.ceoart.org. .org.
Yes.
.org.